Okay, guys, it's great to have you with us. We've got Andy Thorpe and Ollie Stevens with us now on a Zoom call, and they are our Centro and Hampden Park site leaders. And obviously, if you've been around church, you'll know these guys, you'll love these guys. Now, if you're a member of King's, and if this is a place you call home, you should have received an email during the week titled the Love Eastbourne Fund. But if you're a little bit like me, you probably have a tendency to skim read emails, or if they're long, perhaps not even read them at all. So, Ollie, coming to you first, can you just fill us in a little bit on what this Love Eastbourne Fund is?
Okay, so I guess if you're part of King's and have been for a few years, you'll know a little bit about Love Eastbourne. Normally sort of January time, these little tokens pop up in and around the church. And really it's an opportunity to remind ourselves to show random acts of kindness towards others, to love our neighbour, to do all that we can to serve and bless others. And so we use these little tokens as a prompt and a reminder to go out and do these acts of kindness. And I guess what happened is when we realised that our community would just be feeling the pain of COVID-19 and actually many would be stuck and isolated during these periods, we as a team just decided to bring back the Love Eastbourne idea and say, come on, this is a perfect opportunity to love our neighbour and to show kindness towards others. So in the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks, actually we've had a few hundred people that have signed up to pick up people shopping for them, to give people regular phone calls, to walk people's dogs, and actually just to try and show that love towards the town that we care about. And so Love Eastbourne's back, and we've been using it as a chance just to express that kindness. But I guess that on a practical level, we've realised that this hasn't just been about practical needs, it's also been about people's finances and the challenge that people face. And so really we wrote a letter to you just to explain that we'd love to create a Love Eastbourne Fund, a pot of money from us as the church that is able to support and care for people during this season too.
Yeah, and it's also good to know that we regularly have money in our Love Eastbourne pot and our normal budgeting as Kings. And the COVID-19 virus has placed an impact on us as a church. Although we're continuing to support everyone that works for the church, many of them are furloughed. Our giving that we receive from everyone every week is down because people have had to reduce their giving because they're not receiving so much. And so we also, as a church, have a need. And so that puts us in a position where we can't just go and go to that budget and say, let's use what we've got to give to those in need. And so really the request we have is, yes, we want to support those who are struggling financially at the moment. But we're also aware that we as a church are struggling as well. We reckon we're going to be, by the end of September, about £25,000 down. And that makes a massive impact on what we can do as a church. So we're using this letter also just to explain that to you so that we can both love Eastbourne, financially give to the poor, but also look at ways that we can support the church through this time as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like there's definitely two things going on there. That one, Love Eastbourne is primarily to help the poor and needy in our community, in our church, and also in the local community. But two, it's just a reminder just for our own regular ongoing giving to King's. Is that right?
Yeah. Look, Sam, I think that this sort of circumstance and situation, it's not unique and it's not new to community of believers. Actually, you only have to turn into Acts 2 and you realise that actually within any Christian community, there's always some that have more and some that have less. And so I feel personally for me at this time, I'm still receiving my salary from the jobs that I do. Wendy still is within our own home, but some of our recent plans have been cancelled. As a result of lockdown, we actually at the moment have got slightly more than we expected to have at the end of the month. We had a trip that we were expecting to do to see my brother in Sheffield, cancelled. So the petrol money that went there didn't get spent. We have plans for our summer, which I think now are also going to be cancelled. So as a result, in these next few weeks and months, actually, we're going to find ourselves with slightly more than we budgeted. And actually, we're really aware that that isn't true for everyone. Some people are going to have significantly less than they expected to have. And the thing is, this isn't fair. It's of no fault of their own. No one's put themselves in these circumstances and situations. We found ourselves here. And it's at times like this when Christians throughout history in the communities and churches that they've been part of have found ways to share with one another for the common good in order to bless each other. So that actually those that have slightly more can give to support, and that those that have slightly less can actually use this season to receive from others who are able to give and contribute towards their needs.
It's good to remember as well that Ollie's not the only person in that position that would have a surplus at this time. But we're also aware that there are many people, their income is completely reduced. And although they may be waiting for the government for certain things, there are issues, immediate issues, that mean that they cannot live properly. They're not able to get food, access it in the way they normally have. And so they have financial worries. And as a church, we have a responsibility, a corporate responsibility, to be able to meet the needs of those people. And so if you're in that category today, if you know that you're struggling and that this is causing you an awful lot of concern, we want to know. This is something we share together in our groups, but also as a whole church. And so we want to be able to use this opportunity for you to connect with us and say, I'm struggling. Connect with your group leaders and they will connect with us. You can also email us at info.kings.church. And we'll use that as a way to find out where the needs are, and we'll set up this fund so that we can meet those needs in the best way that we possibly can.
Right. So how do people give specifically into the Love Eastbourne Fund? So this is not your regular church giving, but this is giving to help the poor and needy. Like Ollie, how do we actually do that?
Okay, so look, many of you regularly give towards this church. If you're part of this church, thank you so much for your regular tithes and offerings. Please do continue to give. Like Andy said earlier, that £25,000 down is going to hurt us as a church. It's going to be hard to navigate through. So please do give all that you can in order to support us locally as a church. But actually, if you specifically want your giving to go towards this Love Eastbourne funds that's available for us to be able to give out to others and for people to ask and request their own needs, actually just reference it on your regular giving. Maybe you could just you could give in a one-off way, but if you put Love Eastbourne onto it, we'll pick that up as a team. You could also do it. You'll find a link on our Facebook page where you'll be able to be able to give through that as well and make a donation. You'll find a link on kings.church/giving as well on the website. And again, there'll be a button in there you can give specifically towards Love Eastbourne. Some of you, you still want to be able to write checks. If you want to write a check, you can just write a reference onto the back of the check to the Frontiers Charitable Trust, but write Love Eastbourne onto the back of it and put it through the letterbox at Kings, and we're still picking those up once a week. Someone will go in and find those. So look, obviously we know cash is very, very difficult at this time. That isn't something that we're able to do. But if you can give online, if you need to through checks, you can post them through the letterbox. If for any ways you're also able to give into our ongoing costs as a church, please continue to do that.
It's good to just note in that any giving that's giving to King's Church to make up any shortfalls doesn't need any reference at all. We'll accept that, just going straight in. These are extraordinary times. We've never done this before as a church, but it's important that we recognise the needs of those around us. We recognise the needs of the church that we love so much. And so this is our way to say, come on, join with us in this challenge. It's not for any of us to walk alone with. It's things that we can do together. So join with us. And we really believe, just as we were thinking about this, we were thinking about Isaiah 58. If we look after the poor, God provides in amazing ways for us. So we want to do that as a church through this time.
Amen.
Awesome, guys. Great to hear from you. Again, if you just want to find out how to give, kings.church/giving, all the information will be on there. Thanks, guys.